welcome to Entrepreneurs Cafe. Today is a very special episode lined up for you. And joining us in studio, we have Sai Krishna with us. Sai is the brain behind Superblog, world's fastest blogging platform. So today we will have interesting conversation with Sai about building a SaaS product. He is building this product as an indie hacker solopreneur. So we are going to get a lot of insights into the journey that he had. Previously, also Sai has done a couple of startups, so we'll also get to learn about the lesson from those things. And if you are a SaaS enthusiast, if you are a budding entrepreneur, or just love a good startup story, today's episode is for you. So it's good to have you, Sai, with us today, and let's dive in.
Sure. Hi, everyone. Hi, Nikunj. First of all, thanks for inviting me.
So, Sai, let's start with your journey. Tell us about the story so far. I think you have done a couple of experiments before, started a couple of companies, and now you're building Superblog. So, tell us about your journey, how the idea of Superblog came up, and how did you start building this company? Yeah.
Sure, Nikunj. So, in a brief journey, I started like an indie hacker right from my college when even I don't even know the word indie hacker or startup. So, I just built an app that solves my need. It's called M Hotspot. It turns your laptop into Wi-Fi hotspot, and you can share your internet images. You can stream content from your laptop to multiple devices. You can even play games without the need of a wired LAN and hub. So that's how it started, and it became like a massive success. I built this in the third year of college, and it hit millions of downloads like right when I was a student. So I really didn't consider taking up a job because I was already making good revenues from my own apps. So I started building more and more Windows apps, Android apps, and so from in 2013 I passed out. I didn't take up a job, so I still continued my journey of like building things. That's what I usually love to do, and I try to grow the revenue. I didn't know about SaaS back then, so it was like ad revenue. You might be familiar, right? In the beginning days, like we used to have these Android apps, and there used to be banner ads and interstitial ads, AdSense on the website, SEO properties, and so people tend to pay one-time fee to remove ads from the apps. So even that, so did fairly good revenues from 2013 to 15, scaled to 100K a year back then. So then in 2015, I moved to Bangalore, try to like find a startup, like build a startup. I found my co-founder in startup leadership program, and we tried to bring the M Hotspots like streaming technology into a dedicated device that goes into buses and cabs. So where the bus operator can plug in a pen drive and it streams content locally in the bus itself. So like Santosh and I, we started it. Santosh was the CEO and I was the CTO. Like I handled everything tech, like building the hardware, writing the OS for that. As part of that, I came up with a new protocol for the CDN, for which we filed a patent in the US. So yeah, Spotplay, we try to like grow it in India with few bus operators and cab operators, but we had different set of problems. Like the product became obsolete, like with launch of 4G network. Like suddenly everybody has a lot of internet and like super cheap 4G data. Suddenly the Wi-Fi streaming locally in the buses, it's not required for the bus operators anymore. They're like, so you're giving us say 100 movies a month, but my passengers right now, they have access to entire YouTube catalog when they're traveling. So that became the equation, and we had like really face problems. But Spotplay also got selected to start up Chile. Chile is like one of the longest countries of the world. It is like top, like second longest country of the world. Like so, kind of people argue between Chile and Argentina as the longest ones. But they have no railways. So the major transport is basically bus or air transport, which is like typically expensive. So we thought probably we can use the same product in Chile with Startup Chile. So we went there, did some trials with the largest bus provider there. But we had different set of problems, like going from somewhere from the east to west and try to sell a product and come back. It didn't really work out. Then I was experimenting with few open source products. Probably we can go about it in detail later, but so even they were like very well received by the community. So I built a music player on top of YouTube that uses YouTube as a backend, and it has a cute jukebox kind of UI. It's open source. It's my first, I think, second open source product that I built. So after that, I built a serverless platform. It's an open source product, by the way. I contributed to that repository. It's a serverless WordPress alternative. Like you can deploy your entire website uh, on your own serverless properties like Firebase or Netlify, Vercel, anywhere. I was top to contribute for that repository. So I built the like React front-end version with Firebase and the React Native for the mobile app as well. I used and built that. Later, I joined DigiBooster in Mumbai as a CTO for that company. So again, like solo tech person there. So we try to build a content marketplace. Think of it like Amazon for digital content. Like
Okay.
producers and creators can list their content, and brands can purchase, or anybody can purchase licenses to that content. So as part of that, we did like we scraped 100,000 YouTube channels, created data and all. So I set up this like serverless scraping modules that scale up to like I think like 10 or 15 nodes, and it started scraping them. And it was a very good exercise. And so from the data points we understood, we'll probably take a pivot from content marketplace to creator marketplace. And so yeah, it became a good success. Like you might be seeing now all this creator brand connection marketplace, right? Like where you go and hire creators to do gigs and all. So that's what we're trying to do in 2019. So we did good revenues as well. We worked with few movies to promote their like launch and songs and all. We got them like millions of views through our influencer network. Then in 2020 we had this COVID thing and we couldn't raise the next round. And we like my existing investor had actually had the product, and my CEO and the CEO in that. I came out of that. I was not a co-founder in that startup though. So I was like a like CTO, external CTO with minority equity. So I just came out of the company, and I was in. It was in COVID lockdown, so I was doing some experiments and built a neural network that understands my taste in dating space. So it was a silly experiment. I thought of making it a SaaS, and but there were a lot of legalities like using external APIs, to monetize on them. So I thought probably not the best idea, to build a reliable SaaS. So that's when like the other experiment which I had done previously was like to build blogging platform. Because I was a blogger from like teenage, and I wrote multiple. I built multiple SEO properties and scaled using WordPress and typical DigitalOcean droplets. So I thought it's not probably the wise way to actually build a large traffic platforms like a million plus users and all. So that's why I started building internal framework for like my own need. I wrote about that on Medium by how I was able to move away from WordPress to Jamstack framework with Gatsby and a few other technical modules. People loved that, and then I like wrote a small Gatsby starter. That's what we call like a template, like a starter kit that people can download, like fork that and from GitHub and use it to launch their own blog that looks like Medium. So that people started loving that also. That's when I understood. Okay, WordPress needs to be disrupted. People need a blogging platform that just works, and so I thought, okay, that's fine. Like this is like what I need to build next, and that's how Superblog was born. With few analysis, right? Like which startup will have, which product will have lower churn, typical longer cycle for customer to be on the platform, the barrier to leave, all those things. Like it's a collective decision based on few data points that made me choose Superblog. And now Superblog is used by large brands like unicorns, YC companies, global brands. So yeah, that's what. Looking forward to 2024 to see what happens.
I think what's the current MRR on Superblog?
It's close to 4.4K MRR. It's fluctuating 4.4 to 4.5. Hopefully, we'll get back to the 5K MRR again.
So yeah, I see a lot of good brands like Swiggy, JustPay on your website homepage. So these are some, I think, top brands that everybody has heard about. So how did you
Thank
like
you.
go about acquiring initial set of customers? You mentioned that a lot of people were interested in the template that you had published on Gatsby, but when you like productize this and then started as a super blog, how did you like acquire initial set of customers?
Huh. So the Gatsby fork thing was like 2019, 2020, somewhere I published that. So 2018, I think I wrote the article and published on like end of 2018, then 2019 ka. So there was like a lot of uh, gap between them. Probably I should have built it back then. I don't know. But yeah, so after this, so my first set of customers was very interesting. So I landed a unicorn as my second customer. There's Cecil actually. So Cecil was entering India, and so they saw my post on LinkedIn about like I was showing a real-time demo of like how fast Superblog is, and their head of engineering, and then later he was the CTO. Like he looked at the product and he connected me with his team, and they tested it and they loved it and they started using it. Even my first customer was also from my build in public post. Not exactly at that point of time build in public, it was announcement post. They saw that and they loved it and they're using it since then. So after that, from there to now, my major like channels or acquisition are SEO inbound and build in public inbound, and my customers are like heavily doing word of mouth. They love the product and they are recommending it like anything. No affiliate plans. They don't get any incentives if even if they recommend Superblog, but still like people are doing that. So these are like my major acquisition channels now.
So talk about like building public, like how did you? So I think this trend like is very much popular in probably US and other countries where there are like indie hackers or solopreneurs trying to build products in public, and that becomes a major customer acquisition channel where they keep talking about day to day what they're doing and how they're building. So how did you get insights into that? How did you? What were the initial thoughts like? Because nobody was, I think, doing that in India, or very less people were doing that.
So this I don't exactly remember if I saw Adrian first or Level Geo first. To my knowledge, I think I saw Simple Analytics first. It is built by Adrian. So I strongly remember looking through the Simple Analytics website at that point of time. So they are like privacy focused analytics solution for Google Analytics alternatives. So somehow I landed on that website and I saw, like build in public link or like slash open link. When I saw like super public metrics, and then I chatted with the like I had a chat with the founder itself, and then I followed him on Twitter and I saw this thing. Later, I think when I was like getting active on Twitter, then I saw Level CEO and one other founder. I don't remember the name, but Scraping Bee. The company name is Scraping Bee. The product. So that's how I got first to know about like okay, build in public movement. Like people are transparently building companies, and I think Buffer was also doing that at that point of time. So that's how I have the understanding. Like okay, people are doing this build in public, and then I start understanding what are the motivations behind this. So everybody has like their own motivations and reasons. So when I started Superblog, I absolutely have no idea to build it in public. My thought was I will launch it completely closed source, no transparency in terms of numbers or tech or anything. Like I'll build it like a proper startup. And in 12 months, if I don't get even at least like 10 customers, I thought I will open source the entire stack and let people self host it and all. Thankfully, it did not come to that. But there was a problem which I did not foresee it. So, I mean, as a seasoned SaaS entrepreneur or SaaS marketer would see it like from a mile away. I had no experience building a SaaS, so this is the first time I was building a SaaS. So, what I did not understand basically is, especially when you are building SaaS products targeted at businesses, uh, like So there are like different SaaSes. Say, for example, AI writing tools or some monitor, like to monitor status or something, like simple tools that doesn't halt the company. People tend to like, use it without inhibitions. Like, fine, like they're just trying a product, they use it. Tomorrow, if the product goes down, they'll just sign up to a new service and start writing anything. Probably minimal disruption to their usage.
Right.
Superblog was not like that, right? Like your entire blog posts or content, your SEO, URL structure, Google indexing, everything is linked to Superblog. So SEO is not enough for this kind of product. That's what I understood. For a SaaS company, generally you have that, right? Like the content marketing or social media marketing, word of mouth. So there are like at least like 4 different touch points. You should be appearing in the search, and then they should have already heard about the product. They should see a referral thing. They should see a testimonial. They should see a case study. So there are like at least like minimum 4 to 5 touch points. That's when I
Right.
understood. Okay, like building in shadows doesn't work, because that's what I've been doing for like 8 years at that point of time.
Right.
It doesn't. So people need to see the face behind the product. Number one, and number two, they need to see the updates of the product, whether there are constant feature pushes to the product, whether there is any social media chatter about the product, whether there are any complaints, and whether the team is handling the requests or not. So I had to plug in all those holes. I thought, because I'm a one person like solo planner, like solo indie hacker, right? I cannot afford to have teams and cover all these aspects. So that's when I understood, okay, to solve the trust, build in public is a very good approach. Like sharing everything transparently, including tech stack numbers, like what's happening in the company. And that's the main reason why I chose build in public to solve the trust layer to the audience and the customer.
Great. Great. So, when it comes to pricing, I think you've taken a very solid stand that you don't offer, like usually indie hackers, when they start, they offer a freemium product, right? So people try that
Yeah.
product, and then when they like it, they will probably subscribe, right? So in your case, I saw that there's no freemium plan, and secondly, also on Black Friday, or you don't offer any discounts. And I like the thought process behind it. It says that I don't want to do like injustice to my other customers who have already paid the full price. So how did that thought process evolve? Like how did you decide? And I think over the period of time, pricing also changed, right? So like
Correct.
how did you like initially come up with the pricing and then decided to like evolve the pricing plans?
Okay, so these are two questions: pricing and the thought process of how I make decisions in like building or marketing a product. So first, I'll
Right.
answer this second question. So when like the first thing, even I built Superblog was, I started looking at this SaaS offerings and like so many like tools for my previous startup. One thing I really did not enjoy or I don't like is cold email marketing. You get a lot of them into the box, and I really don't enjoy like cold calls and all that. As a customer, I don't enjoy those things. So when building Superblog, I thought I wouldn't do anything that I wouldn't enjoy myself. So I'm just purely thinking from like psyche of my customers, projected from my thought process. So that's why I thought, okay, like no email marketing. And second, Black Friday emails or promotions or like whatever, right? So if I was a customer, if I purchase something for like $49, and suddenly after like 3 months or like 6 months, even after a year, the more longer it is, it's the more bad, because I would have paid like $300, where now the company is offering, it at like 80% discount, 60% discount. I would feel bad about that. So that's why I thought I will never do that. Same thing with affiliations also. So if somebody shares me a link, if I ask for a recommendation, somebody shares me a link, and then I got to know, okay, it's an incentivized recommendation. It's not a like 100% genuine recommendation. I thought probably I should do that, and so I initially launched the affiliate plan like for SaaS, typically the same thing, like 30% recurring forever and all. But later I took it down. Thankfully, I did not had any subscribers like who signed up and all, but there was like one person like who referred, and at that point of time, it doesn't make sense also, right? My plan starts at $9 a month, and it's like what 30% of it like $3 a month, and to to send out payouts every month, it's a hassle for one person. Like whatever time that you take out of your schedule, it's bad. Like we need to save every like task that like time put on. So yeah, that's why no any of that. That's the thought process why I take these kind of decisions, strange decisions what other SaaS doesn't do, but I'm like that only. Um, yeah, and regarding the pricing, so you wouldn't
Yeah.
believe I actually wanted to launch Superblog at $1 a month. So then, thankfully, I was talking to another friend, and he said, if you are going to launch a SaaS, launch it at a minimum of $9. Like nobody would want to take out their credit card for $1 a month. I'm like,
Right.
oh, makes sense. So because he was an experienced SaaS player, so I thought, okay, fine. Let me experiment with $9, and then I started like playing with the pricing. I increased to 9 to 19, and 29 right now is the I think I found a sweet spot. 29 a month works good, and free plan. So one, I mean, like even till today, so many like other my friends in the SaaS ecosystem or like experienced guys, like they tell to have a free plan. Let them write their blog post. It's actually they are writing content for you. So our like the domains authority will increase. You'll get a lot of search traffic, organic traffic. So other people see your product, and the powered by Superblog branding will bring in you new signups and all. So they keep telling this, but I made a stand. I will not like offer a free plan purely based on math. So I looked at certain players in my segment, like landing page builders, so other B2B SaaS tools and all. So at the best, we can hope for 2% conversion rate, like from free users to paid users at the best in my segment. That's what I understood. But generally, when you look at, I don't want to bring the names of the tools. Even they do build in public. They have millions of users and all. Okay. So I looked at their data. It was around 0.68 percentage to like 1.23 something. So for me, I did not wanted to handle that number of like free users and versus paid users conversion. So instead, I'm like, I'll have just 175 paying customers instead of having 8,000 free users and then that 1 point something percentage give me 175 customers. So lot of less work, lot of less hassle, good mental focus on where I need to go and what features I need to build in the product roadmap. So that was the reason.
So for somebody who is like building a SaaS for the first time, it is like a lot of good clarity, and I think probably that came from the network that you had built. A lot of people who have already tried, tested those things, and then like took a conscious choice that okay, I want to do this or I don't want to do this. So
Uh,
that's really, I think,
I'm more of a numbers guy, as I told you, right? Like, so I have my even my validation method is through numbers only. But having built my previous B2C apps, it helped a lot. In B2C, the conversions are even worse, especially when it comes to mobile apps and games. So I want to move away, like completely from that mindset, like offering for free, going to large scale, and in the end, I'm anyways doing that 100K per year only. So I'm like, what is the minimal way to hit that number with minimal effort? Like it's like that optimization equation.
right, right. So you mentioned 100K per year, right? So what are the goals, right? How do you see Superblog evolving going forward?
Yeah. So in terms of revenue numbers, like I still stick to the same thought process I had before starting Superblog. Get to 100K ARR, that is like 8.3K MRR, and then take a call. Like really, like should I just think and see like, okay, can I do it solo for how long? Or at 100K ARR, probably I'll raise a small round and then build a team and then actually go after WordPress to the big market. So I'm still thinking about that. But the last 6 months, I was in the US. I was on a vacation. I was at my sister's house. Probably a bit slow. So now I'm like back to India and like hardcore focused on growth now, building the strategies now to like accelerate that process.
So tell us about your day, like as a solo founder, handling like tech, sales, marketing, and customer support. how do you plan your day? Like what kind of activities? How do you divide different activities?
Okay. So I don't like schedule my day like by hours and all, which I should do if I'm like super seriously focused on productivity. But I at this point of time, I'm like I'll just wake up and pick up my laptop and start working, and in between, like sometimes like I need to cook, and then I take walks and I play my keyboard, and sometimes I go to play cricket. So whatever time is left in between, I live alone. So it's entirely work or all these activities. That's it. So sometimes I feel I don't need to schedule my day, but to to categorize what I do on work usually, the customer support is not much. It's like very less. So I built the product with that loop basically, like to make sure they don't branch into reaching out to customer support. So I build certain loops. They themselves will find out the solutions somehow. Um, Only the lateral requests, say for example, some Stripe billing issue, if people are not able to upgrade to a higher plan, mostly this is the thing. And in some cases, there might be some errors or that can happen during deployment process or optimization process for a particular client. So I built some notification system for myself. So whenever something error that major that happens, I get a notification and I quickly try to fix it even before they realize. So the need for customers to reach out to me is like almost like minimal to null. And yeah, so major time looking at like new features, what to build, and how to optimize the existing system. There are, even though Superblog is so optimized now and you see crazy scores and crazy fast times, trust me, there's still a lot to optimize. I left out for future Sai Krishna to solve the problems. So I try to look into that, and yeah, so it's R&D and work and stuff.
So what is your major source of like customer inputs, or like how do you figure out what to build next? Like, so one is like existing customer telling you that okay, these are the few features that we need, right? But there could be other things, right? So how do you figure out that what are the other things that are
Sure.
required?
Sure. So one other logic that I generally use is I build products only that I want to use for myself. That has been a common theme throughout all the products that I have built. Um, yeah. So what happens is, especially when building a blogging platform, it is like insanely complex thing, which I didn't realize to the full extent of it until I got into this. Like, so because it has like so many modules. Say for example, I'm taking a writer as the example because so many people are used to that tool and they can relate to that so easily. Say for example, if you're building an a writer SaaS, um, it's just you build a UI and you have the same front end back end code base and people log into the dashboard and it's done. But for Superblock kind of product, you need to have a front end and back end code bases for the dashboard where people log in. And then you have front end and back end code bases for the blogging platform that they need to, like the client UI that you see actually. And then the optimizing and deployment modules. So it's like insanely complex. So I know, and I already listed out like what features I need to build out throughout the product journey, so that customers will make the best out of the platform at any point of time. Major input is just my thoughts of like what a blogging platform should be, and the minor say the 80% is that, and the 20% features that I build are requests from my customers. I try to see whether the requests that they gave me will align with the roadmap that I have. There have been a few hits and misses, few sprints that gone to waste because I thought some big customer will come in and I built that product for them. But yeah, but now I'm like very clear. So now I ask them politely, like, hey, why don't you upgrade so that I can build it like in a few hours or a day, I can ship it out. This has been very well working at this point of time. That's how I prioritize.
Okay. Okay. What was like? Was there any incident where you faced a major setback in this entire journey?
Um One major setback was I got one client. like B2B client. So they were at like $500 per month subscription. So they wanted APIs and all that. I thought they will be on the platform for quite some time. Uh, so I had to build like so much of API module stuff for them. And they used it for like 2 months or 3 months, I think, then they left. So it was like a wrong calculation. But it's okay, that's how we learn. But thanks to them, now I have the entire API module ready.
So let's talk about your content creation journey. I think you're pretty active on Twitter. So like, how do you get content ideas? Like what to share? Uh,
So I don't plan the content usually, like I don't have content calendar or anything. But sometimes when I get some random thoughts, I just quickly note them, and then like I try to post it. Say even today I just posted a meme on OpenAI versus Mistral. I saw the Mistral AI CEO's reply and I thought, hey, it's funny. This guy is a Chad. So I thought I'll just do that. And whenever I make some technological breakthrough or some interesting observation on tech, I try to tweet about it or write on LinkedIn. Or if it's a major thing, I write a blog post and share the blog post.
Great, great. So you mentioned apart from like Superblog, you like a couple of other things like playing piano and playing cricket. So what are the other things like apart from work? What are the other things that keeps you?
I love to play board games, like Ticket to Ride, Splendor. So I love to play these games. So them, and then I watch some movies and series or stuff. Yeah, pretty much that. And I tend to read a lot. Not books though. I restarted reading books recently. But I tend to read a lot of short essays, passages, uh, mostly on, I mean, tech anyways, so we will do like just to upskill ourselves, but mostly on like economics and psychology and on like en mass that typically keeps me occupied.
So what is that one book that you absolutely love and would recommend our audience to read?
Okay, I think it's so much cliched, but I love the Almanac of Naval Ravikant. So before reading that book, I had a lot of thought process in my head, but I could not articulate it. Even now, I don't think I can articulate properly. So I did not know how I was operating. But when I read that book, so I understood. Okay, so it's like framework based thought process, and your actionable things that you do based on certain frameworks or ideas. That's what I love about that. I really wish I had read that book, or that book had with me, like, or was out when I was 25 years old.
Right, right. That is like absolute gem of a book, lot of insights, and I think anyone who is building tech products or in tech industry, they would know about Naval, and then they would have read that particular book. Right.
Absolutely.
So, in terms of like learnings from this entire thing, like if you were to start a super blog today, what are the things that you would do differently?
Hmm, that's an interesting question. So I always think this. So I debate with myself like plenty often that I should have started this with a team. So because the market size or the potential of the product, not just Superblog, the way I want to take Superblog into the market, it can be done 10x easier and more 10x effectively with a team. That's what I think. I would probably, if I start it again, I'll not do it alone. I'll probably build it with a team. But having said that, building this product at that point of time is something that I made a decision consciously. So I was in 2020 and all, I was going through some personal things, and also I wanted to have build something at my own pace. Although people generally see Superblog progressing at a rapid pace in terms of development or like features or the journey, I think uh, it's not my full pace.
You mentioned that you want to now, like down the line, 6 months, once you hit the particular revenue goal, you want to start building team. Is there any plan to build like more products around the same space or some other space?
Okay. So once I hit the target, I will take a call then. Will I go? I really, I'm curious. Like, I want to see how far will I go solo. because we have like huge inspirations of people building solo and like hitting 1 million mark, 1 million ARR mark. I'm like really curious, like what will happen as a solo person, or if I think, okay, probably if the team, it makes much more sense, I'll probably try to do that. Yeah, so probably that, and most probably with Superblog, I won't deviate from the product niche. It will be with like focused on the same technology, same product, same USP.
So if somebody were to start in the same space, like what are the top three advices that you would give to them?
Solving for trust is the biggest issue. Say, for example, even if you're building a landing page, also landing page startup, solving for trust is the biggest issue. Have a team, because this market is like huge, right? Like almost like 40% of entire internet is powered by just WordPress. So we have a lot to disrupt. So having a team and solving for trust is like very important. And third advice would be, don't take long vacations.
I think third one is pretty interesting because I think it's a like one disruption and then the entire flow is broken and it feels like you're starting from scratch again, right? So that
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
really maintain. So yeah, I think you spoke about a very good point that WordPress powering like 40% of the entire internet, and on the other side, like a lot of new advancements happening in generative AI, and now content is not the like earlier companies had that advantage, right? If you write a good content, you can acquire a good set of customers, right? Uh, so how do you see this evolving or changing going forward? Like, do you think like AI generated content will become the primary content that we see on the internet, or would people still consume the content that the way they are doing currently, right? Reading blogs and things like that, or would it change more to a conversational interface where like people will just chat with AI and like figure out things or knowledge on their own?
Very good question. So generally, so so there is a particular term for that, threshold or what, inflection point, or there is some name for that. So what happens is, whenever I'm building products, that point will happen actually to me and to the entire ecosystem only. Same thing with Spotplay. We had this 4G coming in. Like, who would have thought like such a cheap 4G would be in India and all? With Superblog also, right now you have generative AI, especially ChatGPT, right? The percentage of Google searches are going down, for sure, like without any doubt. But this is my take on it. I wrote about it earlier also on my LinkedIn and Twitter. I believe like the SEO will become CEO. The name will be changed, like search engine optimization to chart engine optimization. Just that's it. But the core concept won't go away. About information or like product discovery, the interface is just changed. That's it. But even then, it is kind of becoming similar thing. Say, for example, let's start with Google search, right? You have a search box and you type a question. In a way, you are asking it, to retrieve it from its search index, and you're getting lot of listicles, like list results. Um, with ChatGPT, however, it started with a question and an answer. I recently started noticing same kind of list kind of thing only when you ask for product recommendations. So generally, there are like different categories of searches. One is like how to's and what's and why's, like informational queries generally. So majority of them have taken a hit, because right now you directly get the answer, like what is the distance between x and y, like how to do this thing and all that kind of queries. And second, like knowledge based queries, as in like reading about case studies or experiences. So that, I don't think people would read that in a chart interface. Rather, chart interface will index those content, and then there again you have competition now. So earlier it was, you have like top 10 positions and like pages, like vertical and horizontal positions to get your content into. Right now it's just vertical position, like placement, where you need to compete now. Say, for example, if right now ask in ChatGPT or any of the conversational AI apps, ask for a recommendation, it will give you like, 1, 2, 3, 4 products, and it is actually linking back to the product. In a way, it is now a search engine now. Just that interface is changed. So now the competition is much, much higher to get ranked into that thing. So we don't know like how ChatGPT is indexing and ranking those queries. It's a matter of time. That's what I was trying to tell. It's CEO, chat engine optimization.
Yeah, I think that is great. I think and terminology is also pretty interesting. So, how would companies figure out ways to like rank into the chat interface?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, how are you using ChatGPT currently? Like, has anything changed in your workflow?
So not much, I would say. This is an interesting conversation I had with other people, actually with my sister also, like 2 days back. She was saying like ChatGPT has gone bonkers. She was actually stuck in a loop with ChatGPT. Same thing happened to me also, and I read on Twitter experience also. So that quality has anyways deteriorated. But even before that, when like 3.5K days, like where you were getting like super quality answers and all that, even in programming, right? I try to use it. The biggest problem that I faced is I tend to use recent like mostly new tech pieces. One immediate example that I could think of is React Query. So React Query is a very famous library to fetch data in your applications. Like it's built by Tanner Lindsay, I think. Like very popular, and it makes our job so easy also in the fetching data in applications. So I was using that. In production, my app broke. So I was trying to identify why did the app broke on Safari browsers. Thankfully, my user percentage on Safari is like very, very less. So I quickly told them to use Chrome temporarily. So I was trying to understand where the problem was, and it was from React Query because they had some change or something like it was a breaking change. So when I asked ChatGPT about that, obviously it didn't know because its knowledge graph is had a much earlier cutoff.
Right.
So it didn't work out. Like same thing with almost like anything that I want to do, it doesn't work out. And once I there was a very old piece of code that I wrote in Superblog. It was majorly about fetching data from database using Prisma. Lot of nested queries and joins to fetch so much of data in one call. I was trying to do that. So I thought probably ChatGPT can optimize it and see, and it was like, no, it's already optimized query. So for me, mostly it didn't cause any disruptions except for the grunt work. Grunt work amazingly done with ChatGPT because it's just a lot of automation. So to do a lot of things like we need to do shell scripting or something usually. For that kind of things, I just ask ChatGPT. One most common example that I give is, say, in one database I have like in one table there are like 30 columns and all. So to type it, it's much more, I really don't enjoy that kind of task. So what I do is I anyways have written my Prisma schema for the table. So I give the Prisma schema and I give it an example. Hey, do this to this, do this to this. So I get my entire like TypeScript typings for that. So in that way, it is like very useful.
So I think it works as a good a junior assistant who can do like small tasks for you, so you
Yeah.
don't need to bother about them and you focus on your core workflow. So I think with that we'll wrap it up today's episode. Thank you so much for joining us and sharing all your insight. I think it was pretty interesting to know about all these uh, incidents, journeys, examples. Thank you so much for joining, Sai.
And thank you so much, Nikunj, for inviting me. I really had like so much of pleasure discussing this insanely deep points that you raised.
Sure. Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye bye.